Welcome to the Jboy Show, hosted by Jake Crain, the fastest growing sports show in the nation.
I'm Coach Hugh Freeze.
This is Super Bowl champion Brandon Graham.
Hey, this is DJ Shockley, and you're watching.
And thanks for watching the Jboy Show.
Hello, everybody. Thanks again for joining us on another edition of the Jboy Show. Decided we'd bring another Super Bowl champion in here to talk a little ball, talk some NFL, talk some defensive scheme as well. It's kind of a narrative we've gone through the last couple of days. But first, as usual, got to give a shout out to our partners at betonline.ag. Head over there today. The online casino, it's open 24/7. If it's 3 a.m, it's open. 3 p.m, it's open. You want to make a play, it's open. Whether it's golf, NASCAR, WNBA, NBA, Major League Baseball, Quidditch, Hufflepuff versus Ravenclaw, they're going to have a spread on it. You can be able to bet it. Parlays, teasers, pleasers, props, however you get down, make sure you head over to betonline.ag today and tell them that Jboy sent you. But as usual, I know I say it every time that I'm excited to have this guest on. We only bring guests on that get the people excited, that are going to say what they think, guys that understand, take you behind the helmet, and really talk about the current event of today without any politics. That's why we're helping you win the water cooler. And we got Super Bowl champ, FSU star, host of the All Things Covered podcast. You got to go check that out. And football analyst for CBS Sports. Dude's ballin', Mr. Bryant Mcfadden. Brian, what's up, man?
What's happening? Thank you for having me.
Hey, man, I'm excited to get you on here. And you know, from one podcast host to another, man, I enjoy your work, man. It's some good stuff you got going on over there. But yeah, man, well, let's dive right in. And I want to start, you know, there were some headlines made. And look, I like Kendrick Perkins. I think he's always going to say what he thinks. He gives his opinion, you know, good, bad, indifferent, or whatever. But he said something, him and Calais Campbell, a guy you do not want to see in a back alley if he's pissed off at you, got into a little bit of a dispute over if it's easier to win a championship in the NBA or the NFL. And Brian, obviously you played in the NFL. You understand that league. You know what goes down in the NBA too. I just look at it. Number one, when you're dealing with roster sizes that are so different and so many different positions, you know, in basketball, one guy, if you got one, Michael Jordan can help lead you to a champion. It takes more than one guy in football to be able to consistently win games and take you to the top. Just, you know, what's your thoughts? NBA or NFL? I got a good idea what you think.
I totally disagree with that statement from Kendrick Perkins. And I'm not disagreeing because I played the game of football. I'm disagreeing because he's just wrong.
I agree.
The reason why he is wrong, when you talk about, I agree with you, with the roster size. I mean, you're dealing with 5 starters on the NBA floor any given night. NFL, you're dealing with 11 starters.
Yeah.
So you have to have 11 guys on the same page for more than half of the amount of time they're on the football field. You'll need 5 guys, right? And it's safe to say all you need to have is one legit guy, and the other 4 guys could be just average Joes, to say the least, and you can still be relevant. In the National Football League, it doesn't work like that. Secondly, when you talk about the roster size outside of that, every year in the beginning of the NBA season, you can pretty much predict the teams you will see deep in the playoffs, teams that potentially could get to a championship game, because based on the superstars they have or the lack thereof, you can easily cancel out teams if they don't have bona fide superstars, or you can say, I like that team to get to the championship or get close to a championship. It's so hard to predict the Super Bowl matchups. It's so hard to predict the conference championship matchups because the narrative in football can go any direction at any given time, especially if everyone is healthy. NBA-wise, you can put LeBron James on the Orlando Magic, and instantly they become a playoff team.
That's exactly right.
Just added
That's exactly right.
Just added one player, right? They instantly become a playoff team. If you put Tom Brady on the Jets, they still don't make the playoffs.
Yeah. No, I agree. And Brian, let me add this. You get to play series in the NBA in the playoff. They ain't no one-off. It's not, all right, you know, here we go. It's the Heat versus Celtics. Y'all got one game, and it's not game 7. And you know as well as I do, at that level, with the amount of time around, anything can happen in one game. I mean, we're really splitting hairs once you get deep enough in those playoffs between those teams at every level. And you're right. LeBron could go to the Pistons right now. You say, all right, well, the odds, I guarantee you the odds of the Pistons win the NBA championship go up times 10. It's not even close. And it's funny. People say, oh, well, look at Tom Brady going the Bucks. The Bucks didn't win the Super Bowl just because of Tom Brady. I mean, you look at what they were able to do defensively, the way they were able to play, the way they played up front, and you got to protect the guy. In basketball, I can say, all right, LeBron, we're going to go 5 out, and it's going to be you versus him. You're going to take it to the rack, this, that, and the other. You can't do that with Tom Brady. You can't say, all right, guys, nobody run a route. We're just going to protect Tom and let him go take it to the rack. It doesn't work like that.
And, Jake, it's safe to say now the odds definitely increased in the Buccaneers' favor when they signed Tom Brady.
No doubt.
But most of us still didn't predict them to get to the championship. Last year around this time, when they had Tom Brady, when the draft was over and done with, you still had other people going with the Packers that come out of the NFC, the New Orleans Saints, the San Francisco 49ers. Now, granted, things changed throughout the course of the season, but remember, if you go back in time to last year at this moment, yes, some people might have said, I'd like the Buccaneers to get closer to the championship game, but you had so many other teams you could choose from in the NFC. In the NBA, every year in the East, is going to be, currently speaking, based on how the rosters are assembled, Milwaukee, Philly, and now with the additions the Nets have made, Brooklyn. Everybody else, it doesn't matter. They get there, right? In the West, it's going to be the Lakers, the Clippers, the Nuggets. Of course, the West have more legit teams, but you can predict who's going to make the playoffs.
Yeah. And you're going to be right, Brian. I guarantee you're right. All those teams you said, I guarantee you're right. 100%. And to me, it's such a funny, to me, it's almost coming to the point, and you'll have people say, oh, well, you're saying that because you played in the NFL or you like football more. Kendrick Perkins is saying it because he played in the NBA. But you're not saying that. That's a legitimate fact. It's math. You can't argue with math. At the end of the day, I wanted to bring that up because I saw that and it really bothered me because, and again, not saying it's easy to win in the NBA outside of having a handful of guys, but it's a whole hell of a lot harder to win in the NFL. It's just the truth. And I want to segue that, and I'm not trying to throw a bunch of hot topics at you, but we might as well get them, Bryant, while I got you on here. I got to get you back on here. I know it's early in the interview, but I can already tell I need to get you back on here. But when I look at the Aaron Rodgers situation, to me, there's always been some type of drama with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, all the way to when they drafted him, Bryant. Because again, remember Brett Favre and they're drafting Aaron Rodgers and this, that, and the other, and when's he going to take over for him? And then you got Brett going to the Vikings and all that stuff. But there must be a lot of animosity. And you're a guy that's been under contract. You know the relationships between the players and the management, the organization, stuff like that. For him to say that right before the draft, to me, that's a I'm really pissed off move. I don't think that's an orchestrated move outside of I'm angry and I want to put something out there that I know is going to take over. Because, he did it in crunch time. Just your thoughts on that situation. I'm not saying, are you team Aaron? Are you team Packers? But I just look at the timing of it, man. I thought the timing of it was really interesting.
You know what, Jake? That's something a lot of people are not talking about. The timing of the news being released. However it came out, right? Mm-hmm. Right? So the timing of the news, it tells me how legit is Aaron Rodgers with his request to be elsewhere. Yeah. Because if you actually felt some type of way, you're actually legit, you want to be moved. If you made this announcement in early March, if you made this announcement in mid-March, anytime before the draft, the likelihood of a team packaging up something nice to be able to get you clearly is more likely than a team being able to do so draft night. Because if the 49ers knew Aaron Rodgers said, I do not want to come back to Green Bay, the same deal they gave the Miami Dolphins, they would have given to Green Bay plus more. Plus more.
Yo, I agree. I can't agree
now
with
it's
you more.
Almost like when you make this move the day of the draft, teams don't have enough time to be able to come together with a quality sound package for the Green Bay Packers to even listen to. Even San Francisco still tried to make something happen. They just traded away all their assets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So now it's like, Aaron Rodgers, how legit are you in wanting to be elsewhere? Because when the timing just didn't really fit for you if he came out and said this, like around the time Russell Wilson said what he said, allegedly requested a trade. He didn't request a trade, but had teams that he would love to go to. If Aaron Rodgers did that around that time, now, you know, that there's more than smoke, you know, to what we're seeing in the forest. It actually could be a fire.
Yeah, and I'm interested as hell. You know, when they start talking about the Broncos, man, I almost went and just, you know, threw a C note on the Broncos to win the Super Bowl. If he ends up there, why not with the odds there? But you know what, you bring up a great point too about Trey Lance. That's something I want to ask you about, Brian. And look, you never know. There's been guys that have come out of nowhere and had unbelievably successful careers. Aaron Rodgers a little bit, going from JUCO to Cal, kind of to bring that up. But, you know, I watched Trey and I go back to and I try and think of the reasoning behind why they drafted Trey Lance. And I keep coming back to this, and I want your opinion on this. The argument to me against Jimmy G is not whether he's a good quarterback. It's whether he can stay healthy. And he hasn't been able to maintain his health. And again, you can be great and all this other stuff, but if you can't stay healthy, especially toward the end of the year, your usefulness really declines for that organization. Do you think they drafted Trey Lance, number one, under the impression that Jimmy G typically gets hurt, they need a guy behind him that they really trust, a dynamic guy, or are they banking on Jimmy G staying healthy, all right, throughout the year? But if something does happen, you have a guy like Trey Lance that can come in and build some trade market value for him or Jimmy G. Do you think this was a market play down the road getting Trey Lance, or do you think this was a legitimate, we want Trey Lance to eventually be the guy that usurps Jimmy G?
Eventually, they want Trey Lance to be the guy.
Okay.
The reason why I say that is because long-term speaking, I don't think the 49ers would be willing to pay Jimmy Garoppolo market value for quarterback.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They gave him a nice deal. And like you said, the issue with Jimmy G has been durability, being healthy. But when he has been healthy, he's won ball games.
100%.
Right? He's won ball games. He did it, you know, in the small sample size in New England, he was able to win. Even when coming to San Francisco before the injuries became a part of his football DNA, he was winning ball games. And you look at the market value for quarterbacks, I mean, many people were surprised he got the contract he got. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So now looking at how inflated that number is for quarterbacks, do you really want to play Jimmy G almost $40 million? No, hell no. So what they're doing is, which is a pretty good move, especially if it work out, they drafted Trey Lance knowing and anticipating, Trey, you're not playing in year one. We don't want you to play in year one. This guy only had 17 starts at North Dakota State. Yeah. Right? 17 starts at North Dakota State. It reminds me a lot of the small sample size that we saw from Mitchell Trubisky. Granted, Trey had 5 more starts. I think Trubisky only had 12 starts at North Carolina, but we saw how that worked out for Trubisky and the Bears. So what we're going to do is, Jimmy G, we serving you, we put you on notice, right? Yep. As long as you're playing well and you're healthy, you're going to be our quarterback. We're okay with that because we can win ball games with you and everybody around you healthy. We know we can win ball games. Trey, now you just learn on the side. Learn how to be a quarterback, similar to what we saw in Kansas City when they had Alex Smith and they drafted Pat Mahomes. They drafted Pat Mahomes under the assumption Pat would not play in year one, unless the end of the season, try to get some garbage time, throw you in, or something happens to Alex Smith. Remember, Alex Smith was still playing pretty decent football.
Yep. He was consistent.
So it worked in their favor. So this move, for me personally, I believe it's a long-term move. This move is not, we're not supposed to see Trey Lance in 2021. This draft pick is more about 2022, 2023, because it's safe to say after this season, regardless how Jimmy G plays, they're probably going to either cut ties with him or trade him.
Yeah, no, and I think it's so interesting to look at it that way. So you believe it's a true red shirt year for Trey Lance, as we like to say, going into the NFL, which you know as well as I do, Brian, I think you'll agree is the best. Yeah, exactly. I mean, because he's not coming in better than Jimmy G.
If you look at the logistics from the move, Jimmy G is still getting paid nicely. You don't have a guy who's getting north of $20 million sitting on your bench.
No,
healthy, and can play serviceable football. So if Jimmy G just pisses down his leg, then that's on him. But if he plays decent football, he's going to be the starting quarterback. It won't be a quarterback competition in camp unless Trey Lance is just doing doing the unthinkable. Now it'll be like, oh shoot, he's better than what we thought. Yeah, you know what I mean. But if it goes accordingly, we know Jimmy G right now is a better quarterback than Trey Lance. Right now he is.
Yeah, without a doubt. I agree. And speaking about NFL rosters, I got to tell you about an app that's taking over, guys. It's on the Android store, Apple store, iOS, anywhere, Google Play, you can find it. It's called the ProU Sports App, PROU. And I know we all get tired of scrolling through Twitter, trying to keep up with our favorite college players that are now in the NFL. You got to go get just different anecdotes of information. This keeps it all in one place. They got player breaking news in the NFL, the player that you're concerned about from the school that you're. So for example, you're an Auburn fan. You want to keep up with Carlton Davis, Jamel Dean, all these guys. It's all in one place. It's a library, so you don't have to scan it. It's easy to navigate. It's great stuff. It's the ProU Sports App, and it's everywhere. And it's legitimately taking over. I've sent it to all my buddies, regardless of who you root for. You know, we cover the SEC as good as anybody, whether you're a Florida fan, Texas A&M fan. They want to follow their guys from college to the NFL and see how they're doing and be able to keep up with them. Now you don't have to go everywhere to do it. This is great stuff. I'm telling you, I do it. I downloaded it, looked through it the other day. It's fantastic. They give me notifications. You need to go download it. That is the ProU Sports App. It's really cool. If you're a Florida State fan and you want to keep up with a guy like Bryant Mcfadden out there winning Super Bowls, the Steelers, getting picks, making plays, tackles, all that stuff, this is the app to do it. So you need to go download it today. It's everywhere. It's the ProU Sports App. They're just in football right now, but they're going to keep growing because it's a great idea. And you need to get in early before it starts really, really taking off, because you don't want to be left behind. That's the ProU Sports App, and that's anywhere you get your apps. It's great stuff. I'm checking mine right when I get off here. But we're here with Super Bowl champ, star at FSU, does a great job on his All Things Covered podcast, football analyst for CBS Sports, Bryant Mcfadden. And, you know, Bryant, we talked a little bit of personnel stuff in the first half. And in the second half, I want to talk a little scheme. You know, I had Gerard Powers on the other day, and we talked about the RPO game in college and defending that and how much offenses have changed in the college game. And we all know that's a filter from the NFL, just like the college game in basketball's changed because it's a filter from the NBA, and you're seeing the 3-point shot now and stuff like that. But when you look at offenses now, Brian, even since when you played, I see more RPOs now in the NFL. I use Teddy Bridgewater as an example. I mean, you were talking before the show, but are you starting to see that RPO manipulation work its way through the league, even if it's just a few things? Because as a defensive player, it does put you in conflict, even though coaches are catching up to it, especially in college, whether it's that inside RPO, whether you're riding the back and looking for the bubble or looking for the hitch, or it's that wide RPO where you have the third option outside. How have you kind of seen that?
No question. We're starting to see the RPO, circulate throughout the National Football League more than what we saw in years past. And the reason is because most quarterbacks that we're seeing playing in the National Football League, that's all they know. Yep. So what happens is when these guys get drafted to an NFL organization, teams, coaches want to make sure their quarterback is comfortable. You know what I mean? So they throw some things that they're used to seeing from the collegiate days into an NFL offense. And when you have these athletic quarterbacks that we're starting to see take over the NFL, the RPO provides another offensive option for the play caller. And the thing that we don't like as defenders, knowing that you have to worry about a running back, but then you have to worry about a quarterback that can keep the football, or a quarterback that can act like he's going to keep the football and hand it off and throw it at the same time. So the RPO basically gives you 3 plays in one.
Mm-hmm. It's like the triple option with the pass. That's what it is. He can hand it off to the running back. He can keep it or he can throw it. Yep.
It's already difficult to be able to understand and be consistent and successful in reaction. Yeah. And reacting to what you're seeing. But now when you have to react to extra things, it's very, very difficult. But one thing I can say, when I was playing the National Football League, something that we used to do, and they used to coach us, not just from the first level guys, second level guys, but also in the third level, the secondary guys, would be high hats, low hats. High hats means it's a pass. When you see offensive linemen pop straight up, it's a pass. When you see low hats, they're firing off for a run. But the thing that we're seeing with the RPOs, especially in the collegiate field, Jake, is that high hats, it's runs. It's a run. And with college football, they're allowed to block downfield. They can't surpass, I think, 6 or 7 yards or whatever.
But they do, Brian. They do a lot. They do a lot more than they get called for.
That ruffles Nick Saban feathers every week when offensive linemen all the way down the football field. That's not football. But one thing I think coaches should do, and if I was coaching, this is what I would do. The RPO is nothing but an option offense for the offensive guys. That's all. Defensively, we have to understand that. But humanly speaking, your body can only react to so many things at one time and not be in place to be able to make the play. So what you should do is, when you look at the RPO, Jake, for people that are watching us, it's a handoff. right? So now the quarterback is reading either the end man or the linebackers. If those linebackers commit to the run, guess what? Now the inside of the football field is vulnerable for passes.
Wide open.
So what I would do is understand and know that your linebackers may be gone. They have to honor that inside handoff. They have to honor that inside handoff. So my secondary guys, man, let's play everything inside. We got to utilize our leverage.
I'm with you.
Put us in positions to be better and not allowing so many inside routes, the posts, the slants, things like that, the digs, because that's all you're seeing, because they're drawing the linebackers up. It creates a hole behind the linebackers when they commit to that run action that they're seeing from the quarterback.
No, it's great. And it makes you have to work your eye discipline. And I almost, and I don't want the audience to throw up or wreck your car. I'm going to use a tennis reference when describing the National Football League is because it almost, to me, it's the offense looking and saying, hey, we want to try and catch you in no man's land. That's what we want to try. In tennis, when you're kind of caught, I don't know how much tennis you play, but I don't play a ton either. But I know when you get caught kind of in between going toward the net and staying back, that's when they got you, because you're in no man's land and you're having to make a decision that you're uncomfortable with. But like you said, if your leverage is correct, it's almost cautious chaos or controlled aggressiveness, because you're so used to the bullets flying. I got to make this reaction quick. That read, whether you're the end just on a zone read, take the RPO out of it, having to almost slow down to react to me, and people are starting to pick up with it. But I'm with you, man. Inside leverage, and people wonder why you see that RPO when they hit the slant and the guy takes off for 70 yards and a touchdown. You're like, where the hell's the nickel, or where the hell's the linebacker? Well, he sucked up on the run. That's exactly what they wanted to do, because if you're going to run, there's no RPOs that end in a vertical. Those are called play action passes. That's what you're going to get. So I'm with you, man. It's all about leverage. We know that, that, playing the multiple positions. And it's funny, a lot of fans, I think, don't understand that when you're playing safety or you're playing that position, it's okay to get the read from the offensive lineman. That's okay. Your eyes can be there. Obviously, now if you're in man, it's a little bit different. If you're the guy that's going to the sky and one, it's a little bit different. But eye discipline, and talk about that for a second, Brian, because we all know how athletic everybody is in the NFL. We all know how talented and big and fast and this, that, and the other. But it really comes down to how disciplined as a defender your eyes and your feet can be. Am I wrong?
No question. It's all about preparation as well. Your eyes could be the best thing you have. Your eyes could be the worst thing you have. Yep. And for us as secondary guys, especially if I'm playing safety, my job is not to commit and get tackled for losses. No, I'm not going to do that. Allow the guys that are supposed to do that. So don't get caught looking in the backfield too long. For corners, don't get caught looking in the backfield too long, because that will put you in positions to fail. And that's what we usually see. And you don't usually see proper eye discipline being coached correctly in college football. And then when a lot of these guys get to the NFL, it's the same thing, because they haven't really been coached the right way when it comes to utilizing the proper sound eye discipline. And the thing is about eye discipline, like when you talk about the play actions that we just referenced, the RPOs, all of those things are trying to manipulate your eyes.
Yeah, 100%.
And if you're not utilizing sound eye discipline, they will do that. Because I can tell you this much, especially from a secondary point of view, when you're on the football field, that play action looks so real. So real. And if you're supposed to be covering a guy, whether you're man-to-man, whether you're in the third or in the fourth, playing quarters, and if you sit here and look in that backfield, you're going to get caught in a bad position.
100%.
You're going to get, and all they need is that one false step from you. Outside in the perimeter playing against those fast guys. And a false step is literally when you step forward to go backwards.
That's exactly right.
No man's land. It's almost like if I told you to go outside and let's race, but you go backwards first and then go forward. And we racing forward, you're not going to win.
No.
It's the same thing. It's the opposite, because I'm backpedaling. So if I'm supposed to be backpedaling, why am I coming forward just to go back? It doesn't make sense, and that will put you in positions to fail. Yeah, without a doubt. We had a defensive coordinator one time. I thought he said it pretty good. Just don't have drunk eyes. Just don't have drunk eyes, man. Just don't. It's a great point. And if everybody's looking in the same spot, like you said, you are able to quarter people in, and you don't give up the big play. But Bryant, man, this is great stuff, man. I knew it was going to be. I got to get you back on here, man. I do. Please tell everybody where they can find you on social media, where they can find All Things Covered podcast as well, because that's great stuff, man. Y'all got it humming along over there. I appreciate you having me, Jake. Yeah, you can follow me on social media. My 3 handle names are all the same: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, BMAC_sports talk. Follow the podcast, All Things Covered Pod is the name on Instagram. ATC Covered Pod is the name on Twitter, and the same for Facebook. Give us a shot. Let us know what you think. We're trying to do the same thing that Jake is currently doing, which is provide.
Yeah. Hey, I'm trying to make that Herm Edwards one was great, man. That was great. Now I think that's a great story, man, because there was some hate when he got that job, guys, and he actually, this just shows you like coaches that get it. He went in there and kept a lot of those guys because he was like, I want y'all to help me in this transition to college football as well, instead of being an egomaniac that goes in there and says, oh, well, I coached in the NFL, so I know everything. You're smart enough to know, and it's not ball. He knows ball, but that landscape's so different. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Herm is a great ball coach, a great individual, and I can just listen to him talk all day.
100%, man. But Bryant, great stuff. Everybody go check out the All Things Covered podcast. They're doing great over there. Really excited. Shout out Annie Hoffman, by the way, for setting this up. I love Annie. I got to give her a shout out. But really appreciate you, Bryant. Appreciate you guys as well. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Hit it to jboyshow.com too. We got some merchandise, including this bad boy right here, Bryant. I may need to send you one of these, man.
Yeah, send me one of those.
Yeah, man. What you want? You XL, man? You swole over there, so I don't know what.
Just send me a large.
All right, okay. I'll send you a large. You are a DB, man. You are a DB. I respect it. But no, head over there and grab you some as well. Thank you guys for joining us. It's been another edition of the Jboy Show, talking some NFL with a Super Bowl champ, and it's been another edition. And Jboy's going, gone.
The Jboy Show is produced by David Cohn, Technical Director Dave Hammock, Creative Director David Culbertson, Audio Engineer Feyzan Shareef, Production Assistants Blaine Crain and Kyle Orr, Executive Producers Jake Crain, Vince Thompson, Steve Chamberlain, and David Cohn. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and visit our website, thejboyshow.com, for updates regarding our newest apparel and merch designs. Win the water cooler with the Jboy Show.